It was a nice warm day in Dallas, Texas. Everybody was waiting patiently, anticipating to see their president, John F. Kennedy. As his motorcade rounded the corner, a gunshot was heard somewhere from a building really close. At that exact moment, John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. The bullet traveled through his body and somehow had managed to get through Governor of Texas, John Connally. The first theory is that one man had done it, one shot, one kill. From the Dealey Plaza, Lee Harvey Oswald apparently ran, and later on during the day, he was captured. The problem with this theory is John Connally was sitting directly in front of Kennedy, and the way the bullet had hit Kennedy, there's no way it could have possibly gone through Connally in the spot that it did. This is probably the most popular theory because nobody else knows who to blame it on. So with that being said, I'd like to show you this video I found on YouTube that shows a probable way that it could have happened, but they're still not 100% sure.
The magic bullet enters the president's back, heading downward at an angle of 17 degrees. It then moves upward in order to leave Kennedy's body from the front of his neck, wound number 2, where it waits 1.6 seconds, presumably in midair, where it turns right, then left, right, then left, and continues into Connally's body at the rear of his right armpit, wound number 3.
The single bullet that struck Kennedy and Connally did not hang in midair. It did not zigzag right and then left. It went straight through the president to the governor. In the film, diagrams have Governor Connally sitting directly in front of the president, facing forward at the time of the second shot. Not true. Governor Connally was sitting 6 inches inboard from the president and turned sharply to his right. The stone film also shows the two men sitting at the same height. Not true. The governor was 3 inches lower than the president on a jump seat. When the men are seen in their correct positions, it becomes clear there was nothing magic about this bullet at all.
Basically what the video is trying to explain is that the movie that was made about the assassination by Oliver Stone was false in the fact that it had people sitting in the wrong position. That may be true, but the fact that one bullet did hit both the president and John Connally where it did is still really tough to believe. The next would be the KGB. Oswald was also involved in this, and in fact, it's almost like the single bullet theory, except this one gives kind of a motive behind why he would have done it. Oswald had been in Russia for 2 years and was married to the colonel's niece. Some say that the colonel had an issue with Kennedy and wanted him killed, in which he told Oswald to do it. That would give a good motive for the single bullet theory, except for now there's no motive for why that colonel would have wanted Kennedy dead. Kennedy had ended up helping out Russia with the war between Russia and Cuba the year before. So motives there are unclear. The third most probable conspiracy theory is that our own government killed Kennedy. The thought is that the CIA had probably one of 3 reasons to get rid of Kennedy. The first reason would be that he'd given away Cuba. When we had the chance to take it and make it ours, he just gave it away. The second reason would be that they were trying to stop the same thing that happened to Cuba to Vietnam. They're trying to stop Kennedy from giving away Vietnam. The third reason would be that after the Bay of Pigs, Kennedy went on basically a firing spree and fired a whole bunch of people, and everyone was scared of losing their job. Those 3 theories are probably the most well thought out probable theories, but with all these theories that are floating around, there's also some pretty goofy ones out there that make a whole lot of no sense. The first of those theories would be the zero game. The thought on this theory is that every president that has been elected in the year that ended with 0 has died in office. This started in 1840, and the only one exception to this was Ronald Reagan. That's about all there is to that theory, is just that everybody's superstitious about the number 0 all of a sudden. The next completely far-fetched theory would be the theory of the anti-greens. What this says is that this group of people killed all of the Kennedys because they were for helping the environment and lessening pollution, raising oxygen levels. This group of people didn't want the oxygen levels raised, they wanted them lowered, so they assassinated the Kennedys because they were making a big dent in that. This lowering of the oxygen levels would keep anaerobic microorganisms around, and it would keep viruses like tetanus. The problem that these people apparently had was that all of these microorganism viruses were going extinct, like tetanus. The assassination is basically prepared to anyone who is big in office that would step up and try to make the world a better place by lowering pollution levels and such. I believe that that's probably the most ridiculous theory out there, and I don't think I would believe one word of that. In the end, nobody really knows how Kennedy was assassinated. There are several theories out there, there's a lot of thoughts, but nobody honestly knows. And at this point in time, we're probably never going to find out. Are there any questions? No?